Welcome back to our live show. Our next guest sees magic at work everywhere around her. She doesn't believe in coincidences, only coincidence. Things that we hear, see, or feel that help remind our soul of its path. Andrea Swight-Murdaugh recently caught up with activist and author Martha Hunt Handler. Here's that conversation.
We're reaching onto the shelves of the virtual Virginia This Morning library to take a peek into a new novel, Winter of the Wolf by Martha Hunt Handler. And we are honored to have Martha here with us today. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm equally honored to be here. Thank you.
It is a pleasure to be with you. I am excited to hear more about the plot because you have infused elements of your own experiences into the book. How does your life experience and work as an environmentalist lead you to write Winter of the Wolf?
So it's been quite a journey. I grew up in Northern Illinois in a very rural area with woods in my backyard, and I was allowed to roam there when I was 4 on my own. And I could literally hear animals and plants speaking to me. So I had a pretty clear idea that I was my gift because I'm supposed to be a voice for nature. I became an environmental consultant and wrote a lot of technical papers about the environment, which never made my heart soar at all. And was trying to figure out what it was I should do to feel more in step with my inner knowing. We moved from Los Angeles to New York about 26 years ago, and I started hearing wolves howling when we moved in, and I couldn't figure out why, because they had been missing from New York for over 150 years. And I went to the woods one day and found 3 wolves in an enclosure and met a beautiful French girl who told me that she was going to open up this wolf conservation center. So I jumped on board to help her. About the exact same time, my best friend found her 12-year-old son hanging from a belt. And we were both brought up incredibly spiritually. We believed that souls are here for the time they're supposed to be here, that death is a part of the life cycle. But when it happened to her 12-year-old son, we were both just shocked. I was ferociously journaling because I couldn't make sense of it, and I felt like a really bad friend because I didn't know what to say to her. On top of it, because it looked like a suicide, you get a lot of blame and shame and guilt. Why wasn't she doing something to help him? Why wasn't he on medication? But the truth was he was a very happy, well-adjusted boy, so there was no reason to believe anything was wrong with him. And one day I was skating on a lake near my house and I saw this deer that had become embedded into the frozen surface. And for some reason, it triggered something in me and I started hearing her son's voice. And he was telling me, you have to write this. This is what you're supposed to do. This is your book. I had always
us to the beginning of the book, really,
yes.
Where you have a young girl, 15 years old, who's really desperate to uncover the mystery of her own brother's death. And we can see, I can already hear the complexities of some of those emotions and grief that are in your story. So how does the novel unfold?
This boy, Brendan, was convincing me. And it's the first time I've ever heard a voice from beyond. It was very strange, but he was convincing me it wasn't necessarily his story, but that my journal was a launching off point. So I just started writing, and it went all over the place for a very long time. It's taken me 18 years to get this book into, a 30,000 word book instead of 120,000, which is where it went originally. And I kind of put everything into it. And then it was just sort of my journey of realizing what's been the most important things in my life. One of them is definitely that idea that instead of grieving, we should be grateful for the time that any soul was in our life, and to try to keep them alive by remembering what they taught us, the stories, the wonderful things you did together. So that was an element I really wanted to get in. And probably the second most important one was intuition. So my protagonist, Bean, is very determined that she wants to find out how her brother died. She knows that it looks like a suicide, but she believes that there might be something more going on. And that's, I think, our superpower, our intuition. And I was lucky enough to have a mother who would always say to me when I'd ask her big question, small question, does God exist? She would say, what does your gut say? Or should I go to that party tonight? What does your gut say? And I think if we can get back to that place, that, yeah, if we can just tune back in, because boy, our body's giving us lots of signals all the time. You know, it picks up like every other species on the planet. It knows when there's danger around, when there's negative energy, and when there's positive energy. And
Absolutely.
tuning into that, pretty cool superpower to have.
So I want to dive in. We've got about 30 seconds left, but I saw that your favorite quote is grow or wilt. What does that mean to you, and how does that inspire what you do?
Just always looking at life like in those down times, you learn the most, right? So be open to that next big leap after you're in something really bad, because those bad moments are just learning tools. And it's sad, sort of, but the lower you go, the more you learn coming back out of it. And just to accept all these experiences that we're having, because it's just helping our soul grow in unbelievable ways.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for being with us. I am so excited to read more and to really dive into what is Winter of the Wolf.
Thank you for having me.
For those of you interested in getting your copy of Winter of the Wolf or learning more about Martha Hunt Handler, we invite you to our website at wtvr.com/BTM.